A very warm welcome to the news in details now. The Genocide Survivors Umbrella Organization, Ibuka, has asked that the trial of the genocide suspect, Felicie Kabuga, not be delayed any longer, saying that the accused is now in his old age. Now, the substantial trial is set to begin on Thursday at The Hague. Take a look.
Before the genocide against the Tutsi here in Rwanda, Felicie Kabuga was a powerful businessman in the country with strong political ties. So much so, in 1993, the son of the then president of the republic married his daughter. He is also the father-in-law of Augustine Ngirabatware, who served in the cabinet at the time and was later sentenced to 30 years in prison for his crimes by the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda that was based in Arusha, Tanzania. Kabuga was also a member of the MRND party that was responsible for preparing and implementing the genocide against the Tutsi, and the founder of the notorious genocidal radio RTLM, as well as a national fund set up to supply money to the killing machine that implemented the fastest genocide in recorded human history. The fact that he is finally going to face justice is being seen as a victory.
Urubanza rugaragaza nanone ubutarambirwa bw'ubutabera.
The trial signifies that justice, however long it may take, can still be served. The fact that he was on the run for more than 2 decades, was finally caught and is now going to stand in court is certainly a victory when it comes to justice for me, in line with fighting the culture of impunity. The fact that he was on the run for so long has the negative repercussion that he is now very old and requires constant medical supervision to determine that he is still fit to stand for trial, though the court in The Hague has determined that he is mentally capable of defending himself in court and answer for whether or not he did the things he is accused of. There have also been calls for things to be sped up, lest Kabuga dies before a verdict is reached. When the trial begins tomorrow, we want them to speed things up so that a verdict is reached quickly, whatever it may be. We don't want this to drag on and for him to die while the trial is still ongoing. They certainly have the medical facilities to ensure that he is able to sit in court long enough not to make this last longer than it should. They should get this over with. Then there is the matter of where the trial is taking place. That is certainly a fault many people have highlighted. And even Arusha was not a suitable location for this particular trial. Previously, the reason the ICTR was taken to Arusha was due to reasons that were highlighted concerning the situation in Rwanda after the end of the genocide against the Tutsi. But that is no longer the case now, which is why the trial should have been held here in the country where the crimes were committed. Not having it here has certainly been criticized heavily. Felicie Kabuga is now 87 years old, having at one point been one of the most sought-after genocide suspects on the run, with a $5 million bounty on his head, as he hid from country to country until his arrest in France 2 years ago. He faces crimes to do with genocide, incitement to commit genocide, and crimes against humanity.
Residents of Cabo Delgado appreciate that the RDF for the medical assistance services that are being provided to them, where this program has reached more than 2,600 people, not including those treated at the RDF's hospital in the area. Olive Nete has this report.
In Olumbi, in one of the districts of Cabo Delgado, various residents are participating in the screening program.
We are very happy to see Rwandans coming to treat us. We are suffering from many diseases, including malaria. Also, we got traumatized due to instability, hearing the noise of guns, fear of being tortured. So when we see such activities, it makes us happy, and we request them to keep comforting us.
Sasa hivi tukiwaona wenzetu hao wanakuja kututibu tunafurahi sana na wazidi sana watutoe mayonzi tulie nayo.
As emphasized by this resident, malaria is among the prevalent diseases in Cabo Delgado, as Major Dr. Jean-Paul Shumbusho, the head of medical operations in the RDF and police in this province of Cabo Delgado, also explains.
Indwara ya mbere higanje ni malaria ifata nka 40% y'indwara zose tubona aha ngaha.
The first prevalent disease in the area is malaria, and it accounts for 40% of all diseases around this area. It is very dangerous and causes death to a large number of people due to a lack of early treatment and not taking preventive measures. Like pregnant women, other diseases are diseases that are related to the current situation of war, including malnutrition, disease from poor hygiene, other problems in that there are no preventive measures. There are no family planning methods being used, no vaccination facilities for children, no facilities to screen various diseases like HIV/AIDS and various other diseases.
nta buryo buriho bwo gusuzuma no kuvuriza indwara z'ibyorezo nk'ubwandu bwa sida n'ibindi.
Between 300 and 500 people participated in this program of screening, which took place in the sector of Olumbi in the district of Palma. The same program has been happening in various areas such as Olumbi, Mukimboa, the Playa, Palma, Sinda, Ewase, where 2,600 people have been treated in this screening program. But a large number of these people find medical assistance from Rwandan security forces. The spokesperson of the Rwanda Defense Force, Brigadier General Ronald Rwivanga, pointed out that such activities are carried out for the people in order to provide them with complete security in all aspects.
This is a medical outreach program that the Rwanda Security Forces has organized in Palma district. We do this everywhere we deploy. We believe in our operational philosophy that you have to ensure human security in order to win hearts and minds. And it's ironic to provide physical security without dealing with, human security. So one of the things that are very important is to see that the people are actually healthy before you even protect them. So we realize that there are a number of diseases in the community, so our forces partake in acts of treating civilians, those that have returned and those who are resident already. So a couple of weeks ago, they carried out a medical outreach program and treated 260. They realized that actually they need much more. So that's why today we organized the second medical outreach program to treat others. And this will be done in different parts of Cabo Delgado province. And I believe that one of the reasons why many people are returning is because they return to things like this. So it's important that we improve such services in the province.
Transparency International Rwanda, a non-profit organization that fights against corruption and injustice, has published a study on the problem of corruption in various institutions in the country. Now, the organization says that the lack of timely reporting and the fear of making allegations of gender-based corruption are the main reasons why this corruption continues to exist in different sectors. Now, take a look. A study was conducted in various public and private institutions with the aim of observing the status of gender-based corruption in the workplace and what can be done to stop this corruption. In this study, it was found that 75% of women face this corruption at work and 25% of men also face it at workplaces. 79.70% are aware of this corruption and 20.30% have no information about it. It was also found that corruption in the private sector is higher than in other sectors, especially gender-based corruption, which is at 57.20%. In other places, this corruption is prevalent, including higher learning institutions, where it is at a rate of 42.60%, and in the local government, it is at 37.20%, and in secondary schools, it is at 36.10%. Ingabire Marie Immaculée, chairperson of Transparency International Rwanda, pointed out the reasons why this corruption is prevalent. There is less willingness and in a very significant way to fight it, because sometimes you'll find that there are signs and proofs that a person is operating in that manner, but there are no consequences for his actions. Another challenge is to get hold of sufficient evidence. These people who ask for bribes and corruption based on sex, they are very tricky. They harass you continuously, and at the end, they write meaningless messages to you that can't serve as evidences in rape. Even though those messages are meaningless to others, the victim knows what it means. Another issue is that sometimes those who are asked for bribes, like women and girls, also want to give those bribes, and it is understandable that such a person would not report the case.
Kubifata bashaka nabo gutanga iyo ruswa iyo rero nawe abishaka urumva ko atazabivuga.
Other specific reasons why this corruption appears in these sectors include the fear of job loss and the fear of reprisal and other consequences is at the rate of 33.70%. Other top reasons include the lack of sufficient evidences to back a complaint, which is at a rate of 27.40%, 20.20% fear that there will be no change, and 12.60% do not know where to take their complaint. Gwabuhihi Rose, the head of the Gender Monitoring Office, highlighted the measures that should be put in place to prevent this corruption.
Icyambere tugomba kumvikanaho nuko ruswa yariye yose nishingiye ku gitsina.
The first thing to note is that every kind of bribe, even this kind of corruption based on gender, those who request it will keep doing so if those who are asked for it keep accepting. The first thing to do is to empower that person so that he can stand and refuse to give that corruption. The second thing is that institutions in charge, including us, should enforce measures to follow up on these cases so that the cases we receive would not be dismissed just because we do not have sufficient evidences. But we should follow up with these complaints and institutions to see methods put in place to fight it. The third thing is to encourage the victims to be brave and report these cases. Because if they do not report and wait for these research findings that come after 5 years, it won't be of any use.
The
report also underpins that 39.3% of gender-based corruption victims choose to ignore it and remain silent. 20% choose to report to close colleagues at work, 15% to their families, another 15% to the company management, 9.4% to anti-corruption bodies, while 1.6% accept it. People relocated to the Busanza modern settlement say they are getting accustomed to their new surroundings, though they have highlighted certain things local residents can do to make their transition easier. Now, the Minister of Local Government visited the settlement on Wednesday and gave assurances that their concerns are being taken into consideration so that they can be addressed. He also urged the residents to make good use of the facilities that they have been given to improve their livelihoods and pledged continued government support in this endeavor. Now, moving on, delegates from Ethiopia's Ministry of Peace have expressed their desire to follow in Rwanda's footsteps of unity and reconciliation, which they conveyed upon their interaction with model peacemaker communities in Bugesera district. Precious Kirezi has this report.
During discussions meant to share experiences and testimonies, certain residents of Bugesera district that lost their loved ones and those who perpetrated the genocide against the Tutsi portrayed their reconciliation journey to delegates of the Ministry of Peace in Ethiopia.
Iyo wigisha umuntu umwerekana ibikorwa ingero biba byiza nabo bagenda.
Teaching someone is far more efficient when they are shown practical examples of what they are being told. They can also form small groups of conflict resolution between opposing parties, and they could use Rwanda's reconciliation journey as a reference for peace and unity.
The site and programs coordinator at Interpeace Rwanda stands by the view that small groups, formed in an effort to share testimonies and join together in the healing process, has the potential to be as helpful to others as it's been to Rwanda. People whose interactions were indifferent are now binding their families in marriage and baptisms. These small groups mediate conversations between them that have yielded good results. Bugesera's vice mayor in charge of social affairs reminded residents that what they've achieved through the teachings has made a significant impact in regards to the maintenance of peace and unity. The first and hardest step is communication. Once they sit down and talk and coexist and engage in different initiatives, things are manageable, and it helps even those that are not about peace and unity to get in line. The lead delegate from Ethiopia's Ministry of Peace points out that they've learned a lot from Rwanda.
We have learned very, very big histories. We have heard lots of success stories, though there were lots of wounds. But the public of Rwanda, the people of Rwanda, choose the better choice to just build their future, just to give for the generation a better Rwanda, not divided Rwanda. So I would like to appreciate and thank all Rwandans to be a model for Africa and for the world.
During their stay, this delegate team intends to explore other activities in line with development or peace and unity. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
The Institute of Certified Public Accounts of Rwanda has provided training to people in charge of government projects as a way of reducing the occurrence of them stalling or even halting altogether, causing losses to the country and negatively affecting the welfare of local communities. Now, the training is taking place in Rwanda district and has brought together more than 150 participants. It is emphasizing on the importance of striving for a clean audit report and will equip the participants with the necessary tools to get one consistently. Let's move on to those who excelled in the national exams have expressed emotion towards their achievements, which they credit to persistent hard work as well as the support they received from their parents and teachers. Precious Chirezi has this report.
Sezerano Forever is the top performing student of the primary living examinations, and Nwari Albert is the top performing student of the advanced level examinations nationwide, and they are both in awe of their achievements.
I'm very happy with my performance, and I have been accompanied today by my parents, and I have been well rewarded. I was intentional about my studies and textbooks as well, as my parents' support helped me to reach my target. Being the first in the country is no small feat, and while I didn't expect it, I thank God that it happened. I did a lot of revision and valued the advice I was given.
13-year-old Ihirwe Divine came in second place in the primary section, and she's hopeful of this milestone being the beginning of a brighter future. My goal is to complete my studies and get a good job. I want to be a university professor when I grow up. Parents of the top performing students have pointed out that following up on their children's studies was instrumental to their good performance. Precious Chidezi, RTV News.
Non-legal advisor were given advice on how to help the people solve problems in a better and more efficient way. This is one of the responses of the Ministry of Justice in this conference that was attended by legal advisors from different institutions. Nureth Egasaro has this report.
Dr. Ujira Shebuji Manueli, the Minister of Justice and General Attorney, noted that this training for those land legal advisors is important because they will advise them on how the law is changing. He went on to say that the new 2021 law was created to address some issues concerning Rwanda's land situation.
Land law came to answer certain land issues that we have in Rwanda. One of them, which was caused by our bad history, the bad governance that we had. You all know that we had an experience of people fleeing the country. Now, do those people come back and claim what belonged to them? This is what the land law is answering. We manage our land. There are certain portions of land which are not only important to the present generation, but also to the future generation.
Donasie Kwasibwe, one of the legal advisors, is very happy with some of the changes resulting from the new land law that they released because the one we had was very complicated and insecure people. Some of the challenges of that law were mainly the provision that most people who couldn't afford a hectare did not get registered to their land. You find that like 6 or 7 people shared one UPI. which will lead to conflict and cause them to lose their land because they are not registered. And some people make collateral loan on the bank or sell the property without their knowledge. According to Uwase Francine, a land mitigation specialist from the National Land Authority, say this law was introduced to help citizens avoid going to court by addressing the problem of conflict sprouted up all over the country. The new land law makes many changes, including those relating to conflict resolution, but there are also concerns regarding how foreigners can get land as well. Other things is married people would have been handed over before, but this is no longer possible if those who are registered on the land or married partners are not agreed on the law. Some of the changes made by the new law published on June 10, 2021, which replaced the previous law of 2013 and was intended to resolve some land conflict across the country. Nuriat Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Well, there you have it. On behalf of the entire news production team, thank you so much for your company. I'm Jane Mutoni. Bye for now.